Let me ask you something. Why is it that the strongest people you know are often the quietest? They don't shout, they don't explain, they don't react instantly. Not because they are weak, but because they have mastered something rare. Today, I want to talk about a power that can change your relationships, your peace, and your life. The strongest people don't react. Let me share something very important with you. Every time you react emotionally, you are silently telling the other person, "You control me." Think about it. Someone says something harsh, and instantly your mood changes. Someone ignores you, and suddenly your peace disappears. Someone criticizes you, and your entire day is disturbed. Ask yourself, who is in control at that moment? Not you. Your reaction gives them the remote control of your emotions. And the strongest people in the world understand this. Simple truth. Power does not come from reacting. Power comes from choosing. When you react, you are not responding from wisdom. You are responding from wounds. Your past hurts speak. Your ego speaks. Your fear speaks. And in that moment, you are no longer living consciously. You are living automatically. But strength begins when you pause, that small pause between what happens to you and how you respond. That pause is where freedom lives. Most people never experience this freedom because they believe reacting is natural. Yes, reacting is natural, but mastery is not natural. It is learned. A strong person understands, I cannot control people, but I can control myself. And when you control yourself, no one can control you. Let me ask you, have you noticed how certain people want a reaction from you? They provoke, they poke, they insult, not because they are strong, but because they are hungry for your energy. Your reaction feeds them. Your silence starves them. When you stop reacting, something powerful happens. You confuse people because they expected anger, they expected explanation, they expected drama, and instead they received calm. That calm is unsettling. To those who thrive on chaos, understand this deeply. Your reaction is your currency. Spend it only where it adds value to your life. Otherwise, you are paying emotionally for things that do not deserve even a thought. The strongest people do not react immediately, not because they don't feel. They feel everything. They feel the pain, they feel the insult, they feel the injustice. But they ask themselves one powerful question before responding. Will my reaction improve this situation, or will it only drain my peace? If it drains their peace, they let it go. Because peace, once lost, takes much longer to return than pride. Reacting may give you temporary satisfaction, but it leaves a permanent scar. Non-reaction may feel difficult in the moment, but it builds unshakable strength over time. So remember this. Every time you choose not to react, you reclaim your power. Every time you pause, you grow stronger. And one day you will realize the world didn't become quieter. Most people don't realize this, but exhaustion is not always physical. Very often it is emotional. We wake up tired not because we work too much, but because we gave too much of ourselves to things that never deserved us. Every argument you replay in your head, every unnecessary explanation, every emotional reaction to people who don't value you, it all costs energy, and the strongest people understand something very simple. Energy once wasted never comes back the same. That is why they are extremely careful about where they invest it. They don't attend every argument they are invited to. They don't answer every message immediately. They don't correct every misunderstanding. They don't fight every battle. Not because they don't care, but because they care wisely. You see, not everything in life requires your response. Some things require distance. Some things require silence. Some things require time. Weakness says, I must respond so they don't misunderstand me. Strength says, let them misunderstand. My peace matters more. When you try to fix everything, you slowly break yourself. Strong people know their limits. They know when to step back. They know when to conserve energy. They understand that emotional energy is like money. If you spend it everywhere, you will be bankrupt when it truly matters. So they save it for growth, for healing, for people who are genuine, for moments that add meaning. And something beautiful happens when you stop wasting energy. Your mind becomes calmer, your decisions become clearer, your reactions become fewer, but more powerful. People start noticing something different about you. You are less available, but more present. You speak less, but your words carry weight, because when you don't waste energy on the unnecessary, you naturally have more strength for the important. Remember this: not everything that disturbs you deserves a seat in your mind. Not everyone who demands your attention deserves your energy. The strongest people don't try to do more. They try to do less of what drains them. And that choice slowly turns into inner freedom. Many people believe that if you don't speak, if you don't defend yourself, if you don't respond immediately, then you must be weak. But let me tell you something very clearly. Silence is not the absence of strength. Silence is the presence of confidence. When a person is unsure of themselves, they feel an urgent need to explain, to justify, to convince. They want approval. They want validation. They want to be understood at any cost. But a strong person has already settled that war inside. They know who they are. They know what they stand for. And because of that, they don't panic when others misunderstand them. Silence becomes possible only when self-belief is strong. Think about it. Have you noticed how empty vessels make the most noise? People who shout the loudest are often fighting doubts within themselves. But those who are secure, they don't rush to speak. They pause, they observe, they let people reveal themselves. Because silence has a strange power. It makes people uncomfortable. It removes control from manipulators. It stops unnecessary drama before it begins. When you stay silent, you are not avoiding the situation. You are rising above it. You are saying without words, I trust myself enough to not prove myself to you. And that is real confidence. Strong people also understand this. When you speak in anger, your words may feel powerful, but they become permanent. Silence, on the other hand, protects your dignity. It gives you time to think, time to respond wisely, or not respond at all. And many times, not responding is the loudest answer. People may mistake your silence for weakness at first. Let them. Time has a beautiful way of exposing intentions. While others exhaust themselves talking, you conserve your strength. While others try to win arguments, you win peace. Silence does not mean you have nothing to say. It means you know when to speak and when not to. And that wisdom, that restraint, that calm is something only strong people develop. Because confidence does not scream, it rests. And when you finally choose to speak, people listen. Not because you are loud, but because your silence already spoke for you. Let us be honest with ourselves for a moment. Getting angry is easy, losing control is easy, saying things we later regret is easy. Anyone can do that. But staying calm when your emotions are pulling you in every direction, that takes intelligence. Not the kind of intelligence that comes from books, but the kind that comes from awareness. Emotional control does not mean you don't feel, it means you understand what you feel before you allow it to speak for you. Most people become prisoners of the IR emotions. Anger decides their words. Ego decides their tone. Fear decides their actions. And later, they wonder why life feels heavy. Strong people work differently. They watch their emotions. Instead of becoming them, when anger arises, they don't immediately obey it. They ask, why am I feeling this? What is this emotion trying to tell me? That pause, that questioning, is intelligence in action, because emotions are powerful, but they are also temporary. If you react in a temporary state, you often create permanent damage. A relationship breaks, trust weakens, respect fades. Emotional intelligence is knowing that your emotions are visitors. They arrive, they make noise, and if you don't entertain them, they leave. But if you let them take control, they rearrange your entire house. The strongest people understand this deeply. They don't try to kill emotions. They don't suppress them. They discipline them. Just like a strong horse, full of power. If controlled, it takes you far. If uncontrolled, it throws you down. Emotional control is that discipline. It allows you to speak without hurting. It allows you to decide without regret. It allows you to remain dignified, even when others lose themselves. And here's the most important part. People who master their emotions become predictable to themselves and unpredictable to others. Others cannot provoke them easily, cannot manipulate them emotionally, cannot pull them into chaos, because their center is stable, and that stability becomes strength. So remember, your emotions are not your enemies, but if they lead your life, they become your weakness. True intelligence is not reacting emotionally, it is responding consciously. And the person who learns this does not just become mentally strong, they become free. Most people believe that truth must be defended loudly. They think if they don't speak up immediately, if they don't explain themselves, if they don't correct every false impression, then the truth will be lost. But life works very differently. Truth has its own timing, truth has its own voice, and truth has a strange patience. Strong people understand this. They know that when you constantly rush to explain yourself, you don't strengthen the truth, you weaken it, because explanations given in emotional moments often sound like excuses. Silence, on the other hand, gives truth space to breathe. When you stop reacting, when you stop justifying, when you stop trying to control how others see you, time steps in, and time is the most honest judge there is. People eventually notice patterns. They notice consistency. They notice who stays calm and who keeps creating noise. Strong people trust this process. They don't panic when misunderstood. They don't chase approval. They don't beg to be believed. They simply continue being who they are. And slowly, without effort, masks begin to fall. Those who lied expose themselves. Those who manipulated reveal their intentions. Those who judge too quickly feel embarrassed, not because you fought them, but because you outgrew them. This is why reacting immediately can be dangerous. In trying to defend yourself, you often enter a battlefield that was never meant for you. You argue with people who don't want understanding, they want control. You explain yourself to minds that are already closed, and in doing so, you waste energy and dignity. Strong people don't do this. They let time do the talking. They understand that truth does not need a microphone. It needs consistency. A lie needs constant maintenance. Truth does not. That is why, over time, false stories collapse under their own weight. And real character, quiet character, stands firm. So when you are tempted to react, when you feel misunderstood, when you want to shout, "That's not who I am," pause, ask yourself, will this explanation change anything? Or will time reveal it better? Because many times, your silence today becomes your proof tomorrow. Strong people are not afraid of time. They walk with it, and in the end, truth always catches up, not loudly, but unmistakably. Most people don't realize how many regrets are born from something very simple, a reaction given too quickly. We think that responding immediately, especially when anger, frustration, or hurt is involved, is a sign of honesty or courage, but most of the time it is the opposite. Every time you let an emotional reaction take over, you are planting a seed of regret. Think about it. How many times have you said something you wished you hadn't? How many times have you sent a message in the heat of the moment, only to regret it later? How many arguments have left scars on relationships that could have been avoided? The truth is, reaction often bypasses reason. It bypasses wisdom. It bypasses the part of you that can see the bigger picture. Strong people understand that every word, every gesture, every expression is permanent in its effect. They know that anger spoken out loud cannot be taken back. A harsh tone once heard cannot be unheard. A snapped reply cannot be unsent. And so they pause. They don't respond immediately. They don't let the moment control them. They let it settle, because calmness is a shield. Calmness protects relationships. Calmness protects reputations. And most importantly, calmness protects the peace inside yourself. Regret is like a shadow. It follows those who act hastily. It creeps into their thoughts, reminds them of mistakes, and slowly drains their energy. The strongest people have learned the art of delaying reaction. They don't react to every insult, every slight, every chalet. GE. Instead, they ask themselves a simple question: will reacting now create value or only pain? If it creates value, they act, but with thought, not with impulse. If it only creates pain, they stay silent. And here is the beautiful part. When you refuse to react unnecessarily, life gives you the most precious gift, clarity. You start seeing patterns, not just incidents. You start understanding people, not just words. You start realizing that most of the things that provoke us aren't really worth our attention. Over time, this restraint becomes natural. Regret becomes rare. Peace becomes a habit. And then something extraordinary happens. You are no longer a slave to circumstances. You are no longer a puppet of other people's words or actions. You are free. And that freedom is the essence of true strength. Most people think peace is something that happens by chance. They wake up and hope the day will be calm. They hope people will behave. They hope circumstances will be favorable. But strong people understand something very profound. Peace is a choice. It is not something that the world gives you. It is not something you wait for. It is something you decide to create inside yourself, regardless of what is happening outside. You see, the world will always be noisy. People will argue, situations will test you, circumstances will be unfair. And if you are waiting for the perfect environment to feel peaceful, you will spend your whole life chasing illusions. Strong people don't wait. They make peace a priority. They know that peace is not passive, it is active. It is choosing not to let anger take over. It is choosing not to dwell on what cannot be changed. It is choosing not to react to every opinion, every insult, every criticism. They understand that internal calm is far more valuable than external approval. They understand that the storms of life will always come, but you can build an anchor inside yourself that holds you steady. Choosing peace does not mean avoiding problems. It does not mean ignoring reality. It means facing reality with clarity, with wisdom, with patience. The strongest people I have met, the ones who seem unshakable, don't walk through life expecting calm. They walk through life creating calm even when chaos surrounds them. They have learned the art of letting go. They know that holding on to grudges only disturbs their mind. They know that obsessing over things they cannot change is useless. They know that trying to control others is a waste of energy. And so they choose peace, even when it is hard, even when it is unfair, even when others are screaming, demanding, or provoking. That choice becomes their shield. It protects them from unnecessary stress. It protects them from unnecessary pain. It protects them from unnecessary regret. And here is the most important truth. The more you practice peace, the easier it becomes. The more you choose calm over chaos, the stronger you become. Because strength is not measured by how loudly you react or by how many battles you win. Strength is measured by how unshakable you are when the world is shaking around you. So remember, peace is not luck, it is discipline, it is wisdom, it is strength in its quietest, most powerful form. The moment you start choosing peace every day, you start reclaiming control of your life. You stop being a puppet of circumstances. You stop being a prisoner of people's opinions. And slowly, quietly, your life transforms. You realize that the strongest people don't react. They don't need chaos to prove themselves. They don't need conflict to assert power. They walk with peace, and that peace becomes their power. Many people confuse caring with reacting. They believe that if they truly care about someone, they must jump into every argument, defend every slight, correct every mistake, and constantly be involved in everyone's business. But the strongest people know this is a trap. Caring does not require losing yourself. Caring does not require being consumed by someone else's drama. Caring does not require giving away your peace, your energy, or your emotional stability. They have learned the art of detachment, not indifference. Detachment is not turning your back on people. It is not ignoring situations that matter. It is not abandoning love or responsibility. Detachment is self-protection. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that you can care without being dragged into chaos. Think about it. How often do we get hurt, exhausted, or disappointed simply because we overinvested in someone else's life? How often have we argued over things that were never ours to argue about? How often have we felt drained, resentful, or frustrated because we tried to fix something that wasn't ours to fix? Strong people do not do this. They know the difference between influence and control. They know the difference between helping and caring. They know the difference between love and attachment. They care deeply, yes, but they do it from a place of strength. They set boundaries, they protect their energy, they choose what deserves their attention and what does not. And in doing so, they teach others without forcing lessons. They help without creating dependency. They love without losing themselves. Detachment also creates clarity. When you are not emotionally entangled, you can see situations as they truly are. You can understand people's intentions more clearly. You can act wisely instead of impulsively. Strong people understand that you cannot save everyone, you cannot change everyone, you cannot control everyone. What you can do is take responsibility for yourself, your action, your emotions, and your peace. And when you do this consistently, something remarkable happens. You become a source of calm for others. You become a silent teacher of strength. You become someone who inspires not through force, but through presence. You care without reacting. You love without clinging. You are involved without being consumed. And slowly, quietly, people around you start to respect this. They may not understand it at first. They may even resist it, but they feel it. They feel the strength. They feel the calm. And here is the ultimate truth. Detachment is not giving up on people. It is giving yourself back. It is reclaiming your peace. It is standing in your power while still holding compassion for others. Because the strongest people do not allow their hearts to be prisoners of circumstances or of other people's chaos. They care, but they never lose themselves. And in that balance, they become unstoppable. Life is full of tests. Every person we meet, every situation we face, and every unexpected turn of events is a small test of who we really are. Most people don't realize that the situations themselves are not the problem. The true test is how we respond to them. Strong people understand this deeply. They know that life will not always go the way they want. People will disappoint them. Plans will fail. Words will hurt. Circumstances will be unfair. And yet they maintain their composure, not because life is easy, but because they have trained themselves to respond wisely. Your response defines you more than any situation ever will. If you respond with anger, bitterness, or impatience, you give away your peace and dignity. If you respond with calmness, patience, and understanding, you strengthen your character and rise above the chaos. Think about it. Anyone can react. It takes no skill to shout, to blame, or to lash out. But it takes inner courage and wisdom to pause, to reflect, and to choose a response that aligns with your values. That is why the strongest people are often those who appear quiet in the storm. They have mastered the art of self-mastery. When faced with criticism, they don't retaliate. When confronted with betrayal, they don't seek revenge. When chaos erupts around them, they don't panic. Their responses are intentional, not impulsive. And because of this, they earn respect not through force, but through integrity. Every situation in life is like a mirror, reflecting your inner state. If you respond emotionally, the mirror shows weakness, frustration, and chaos. If you respond with awareness and patience, the mirror shows strength, clarity, and calm. Over time, your responses build a reputation of reliability and wisdom. People begin to trust your judgment, even in difficult circumstances. Strong people also understand that not every battle is theirs to fight. Some things will resolve themselves with time. Some conflicts will disappear without intervention. And some people will reveal their true nature if you remain silent. Choosing your response carefully is a form of power. It preserves your energy for situations that truly matter, rather than wasting it on trivial disputes. Your response has ripple effects. A single calm word can de-escalate anger in others. A single thoughtful gesture can mend broken relationships. A single patient action can transform a crisis into an opportunity. Conversely, an impulsive reaction can destroy trust, deepen conflict, and create regrets that linger for years. Ultimately, your response defines your life. It defines your character. It defines your inner strength. It determines whether you remain a prisoner of circumstances or become the master of your own destiny. And the strongest people know that this mastery is not achieved overnight. It is. built moment by moment, choice by choice, response by response. So, when life tests you, and it always will, remember, your response is your power. It is your chance to rise above. It is your opportunity to show strength quietly, gracefully, and without the need to prove anything to anyone. The world will react to your calmness, respect your composure, and in the process, you will discover the true measure of your own strength. The most extraordinary thing about strength is that it is often silent. The world expects the loudest, the flashiest, the most aggressive people to be the strongest. But real strength is almost invisible. It does not announce itself with anger, drama, or force. It lives quietly, firmly, and consistently. The strongest people do not need to prove themselves to anyone because they have already proven it to themselves. Loud reactions seek validation from the outside. They want others to recognize power, courage, or intelligence. But silent strength does not need recognition. It is confident in its own presence, secure in its own essence, and unshakable in its foundation. Think about a mighty tree. It does not wave its branches to demand attention. It does not fight the wind. It stands tall, quietly absorbing storms, growing deeper roots with every challenge. Those who walk by may not notice it immediately, but its strength is undeniable. The storms may rage, but the tree does not react. It endures, and over time its resilience becomes apparent to all. Similarly, the strongest people are unshaken by insults, misunderstandings, or provocations. They do not respond to every criticism. They do not engage in every conflict, and they do not feel the need to correct every misconception. Their calmness is their power. Their patience is their weapon. Their silence is their shield. Silence also allows for observation. When you do not react immediately, you give yourself space to see clearly. You see the true intentions of people. You see the real dynamics of situations. You see what really matters and what does not. And from that clarity comes wisdom, a strength far greater than any loud argument or visible display of power. The strongest people also understand that inner strength is built through self-discipline. They control impulses, regulate emotions, and maintain perspective even in the most trying circumstances. They understand that reacting emotionally may feel satisfying in the moment, but it rarely serves them in the long run. Instead, they channel their energy into things that matter, their growth, their values, and their peace. Over time, silent strength becomes contagious. Others begin to respect it without being told to. Others begin to trust it without needing proof. And those who try to provoke it soon realize it is unshakable. Because true power does not need to fight. It does not need to shout. It simply exists. The strongest people also understand timing. They know that patience often achieves what force cannot. They understand that life is long and that a measured, thoughtful approach yields far better results than immediate reaction. They do not rush to prove themselves or dominate situations. They wait, observe, and act only when it is truly necessary. And then they act decisively. And finally, they know that strength is not for show. It is for life. It is for enduring challenges, protecting their peace, and uplifting those who genuinely matter. Loudness may impress momentarily, but silent strength lasts. It endures storms, withstands tests, and builds a life that is steady, meaningful, and unbreakable. So remember this, the world will often mistake silence for weakness. It will expect noise, reaction, and drama. But those who have mastered themselves, who do not react impulsively, who choose calm over chaos, who respond with wisdom, these are the truly strongest people.